Namaste students, Kusro Video, I JV and Dr. Naren Singh Shekhar, Assistant Professor Department of Salya Tantra, Faculty of Higher Science, Jyoti Vidyapith Women's University, Jaipur. In previous class, we discussed about the therapy of therapy for BPH. In today's class, we will discuss about invasive therapy for therapy or invasive surgery for BPH. Initial treatment of symptomatic BPH involves surgery. The choice of the treatment approach depends on the size and location of the prostatic enlargement, the patient's factors such as age and surgical risk. Transurethral resection of prostate (TURP) is a surgical procedure involving the removal of prostate tissue using a resectoscope inserted through the urethra. In this picture, as you can see, the resectoscope inserted into prostate via urethra. TURP has long been considered the gold standard for surgical treatment of obstetric BPH. Also, this procedure remains the most common operation performed. The number of TURP procedure done in recent years has declined due to the development of less invasive technology. TURP performed under a spinal or general anesthetic and require a 1 to 2 days hospital stay. No external surgical incision is made. A resectoscope is inserted through the urethra to excise and cauterize obstructive prostatic tissue. Large three-way indwelling catheter with a 30 ml balloon inserted into the bladder after the procedure to provide hemostasis and to facilitate urinary drainage. The bladder is irrigated either continuously or intermittently, usually for the first 24 hours to prevent obstruction from mucus and blood clots. The outcome of 80% to 90% of patients is excellent, with marked improvement in symptoms and urinary flow rates. Post-operative complications include bleeding, clot retention, and dilutions, hyponatremia associated with irrigations. Next procedure is transurethral incision of the prostate (TUIP). Transurethral incision of the prostate is a surgical procedure done under local anesthesia for men with moderate to severe symptoms. Several small incisions are made into the prostate gland to expand the urethra, which relieves pressure on the urethra and improve urine flow. TUIP is an option for patients with a small or moderately enlarged prostate gland. TUIP has similar patient's outcome to TURP in relieving symptoms. This is all about the treatment of BPH. Now we will discuss about nursing assessment. Obtain history of voiding symptoms including onset, frequency of day and nighttime urination, presence of urgency, dysuria, sensation of incomplete bladder emptying, and decreased force of stream. Determine impact on quality of life. Perform rectal, palpate size, shape, and consistency, and abdominal examination to detect distended bladder. Degree of prostatic enlargement. Perform simple urodynamic measures, uroflowmetry, and measurements of post-void residual if indicated. Patient's education and health maintenance. Explain to patient not undergoing treatment the symptoms of complications of BPH, urinary retention, cystitis, and increase in irritative voiding symptoms. Encourage reporting these problems. Advise patient with BPH to avoid certain drugs that may impair voiding, particularly OTC, cold medicines containing sympathomimetics such as phenylpropanolamine. Advise patients that irritative voiding symptoms do not immediately resolve after relief of obstruction. Symptoms diminish over time. Tell patient post-operatively to avoid sexual intercourse, straining at stool, heavy lifting, and long periods of sitting for 6 to 8 weeks after surgery until prostatic fossa is healed. Advise follow-up visit after treatment. Advise follow-up visit after treatment because urethral stricture may occur and regrowth of prostate is possible after therapy. Be aware of herbal or natural products marketed for prostate health. Be aware of herbal or natural products. Complication: acute urinary retention, involuntary bladder contraction, bladder diverticula, cystolysis, vesicourethral reflex, hydroureter, hydronephrosis, gross hematuria, UTI. So students, this is all about the BPH. This this session is powered by this session is powered by digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. I hope you are satisfied with this digital session. If you have any doubts and queries, please mention in comments box. I will resolve it soon. Thank you, student. Thank you. Namaste, students. Kusro video. I, JV and Dr. Naren Singh Segat, Assistant Professor, Department of Shalya Tantra, Faculty of Ayurvedic Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. In previous classes, we discussed about anatomy of liver and disorders of liver. In today's class, we will discuss about portal hypertension. In this diagram, you can see the hepatic portal circulation. Heart pumped blood into abdominal aorta and proper aorta hepatic artery to liver to hepatic veins by inferior vein joint drain to left atrium of right atrium of liver. This is the hepatic circulation. As you can see, uh, splenic vein and superior mesenteric veins drain blood into hepatic portal vein and it drain into liver. Yes, students. Sustained elevation of portal pressure more than 12 mm of Hg is called portal hypertension. Normal range of portal pressure is 8 to 12 mm of Hg. A rise in portal pressure stimulates portal systemic circulation. Portal vein carries 75% of blood flow to liver with all nutrients to maintain its integrity and give 50% oxygen supply to liver. 25% of hepatic blood flow given remaining 50% of oxygen supply to liver. Portal hypertension causes suspensive portosystemic venous collateral information, altered intrahepatic circulation, and increased splenic blood. So, high pressure portal blood is diverted via coronary, short gastric, and esophageal veins into azygous veins. There is increased portal resistance and increased portal blood flow. Increased resistance may be sinusoidal, and post-sinusoidal. Uh, these are the causes of pre-sinusoidal, extrahepatic and intrahepatic. Extrahepatic portal vein, splenic vein thrombosis, intrahepatic schistosomesis and sarcoidosis. Sinusoidal causes cirrhosis, hematochromosis, Wilson disease, congenital hepatic fibrosis. What sinusoidal is Body-Cherry syndrome, congestive heart failure, veno-occlusive disease also. Causes of causes of portal hypertension. First, prehepatic. These are the prehepatic cause. B is hepatic. These causes mentioned in the hepatic, and post-hepatic causes are these. Sides of porta systematic collateral, as you can see, lower end of the esophagus between left gastric and short gastric veins with azygos. Umbilicus between parambilical vein and anterior abdominal vein, resulting in caput medusa. Retroperitoneum, bare area of liver, lower end of the rectum. These are the sides of porta systemic collateral. This is the porta systemic collaterals. As you can see in the diagram, this one is one, two, three, and bare area of liver also. Okay, students. Photo showing caput medusa. This is a photo medusa. Presentation means clinical features. Trioportal hypertension for esophageal varix, splenomegaly, and ascites. These are the common and main trioportal hypertension. Jaundice features of encephalopathy, recurrent infection, coagulopathy, hepatorenal syndrome. Investigations: liver function test, ultrasound, ultrafetoprotein, MELD scoring. This is a patient with ascites with portal hypertension. Doppler imaging, HVPG, hepatic venous pressure gradient, splintography. Now management. For portal hypertension, first general measures anemia due to corrected to be corrected. Anemia to be corrected. Nutrition supplementation, injection vitamin K, NMG, IM for 5 days. Specific measures. Treatment of esophageal varix, prevention of hepatic encephalopathy, treatment of ascites, measure of reduced portal pressure, surgery, port, systemic, non-selective and selective. Transjugular intrahepatic port systematic tips. This is the transjugular hepatic port systemic stents are typically placed by an interventional radiologist under fluoroscope guidance. Access to biliary is gained, as the name transjugular suggests, via internal jugular vein in the neck. Once access to the jugular vein is confirmed, a guide wire and introducer sheet are typically placed to facilitate the shunt placement. This enables the interventional radiologist to gain access to the patient's hepatic vein by traveling from superior vena cava into the inferior vena cava and finally the hepatic vein. Once the catheter is in hepatic vein, a gauge pressure is obtained to calculate the pressure gradient in the liver. Following this, carbon dioxide is injected to the locate the portal vein. Then a special needle known as calpinto is advanced of the liver parenchyma to connect the hepatic vein to the large portal vein near the center of liver. The channel of the shunt is next created by inflating an angioplasty balloon within the liver along with the tract created by the needle. The shunt is complexed by placing a special mesh tube known as stent and endograft to maintain the tract between the higher pressure portal vein and the lower pressure hepatic vein. After the procedure, fluoroscopy images are made to show placement, pressure in the portal vein and Kirunakar aftermath. Drug to reduce the portal pressure like propanol, nedolol, isosorbidide, liver transplant. Final treatment is liver transplant. This pic is showing the tips trans infectious tips procedure. Okay, students. This session is powered by Digital Session 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. Hope you are satisfied with this digital session. If you have any doubts or queries, please mention in comment box. I will resolve it soon.